good to see you. You get fairy dust. I get fairy dust. This sweet little Amelie gets fairy dust. It's so funny how she always knows. She hears me say that. Sometimes if I've been saying it on the Zoom calls, but I've been sitting in a different place and she still comes over. She'll like get up out of her bed or whatever she's in, and she'll come over and see me because she knows that you're there, and she knows that she wants to do her job. And so she's our little assistant. Okay, so I miss you. A bitch is trying to survive the quarantine. A bitch is trying to survive just the whole nine. Like, it's just so much, so many layers. I wanted to connect with you because I do miss you. I miss you so much, and we're missing each other just in our own lives. We're all just missing kind of what it used to be like, our life before all the coronavirus hit. And we're just coming to terms. I'm going to do a live call soon. If you want to see my live calls have all been about how to cope with the coronavirus and the quarantine with different issues. So like I did one on the 4Fs, our responses to trauma and how they're showing up. We're doing one tomorrow on the quarantine and coronavirus and ADD. And I'll be doing one on grief as well, what we've lost just already. Even if we haven't gotten sick or anything, what we've lost already, we've all lost. So that's going to be tomorrow if you want to come live, or the recordings will be there. So you can get the recordings anytime. You just go to the link in my bio, definitely in my Instagram bio. I don't know how my amazing assistant / boss / partner will get this to you on YouTube, how she'll get you the information, but she will. So be looking out. She's really good at it. So, okay. So, okay. So I have 2 books in me. I've had the Irreverent Grief Guide in me for the longest time. And I just could not make myself write it. But I also have another book in me as well. And so what I've decided to do, because I can't make myself write, is to do video series on my books. And so it'll be the way that I enter writing my books. So again, the first one is the Irreverent Grief Guide, but that's going to actually be either a huge book or it's just going to be tons of little guides. And I've completed my first one. So my first video series, the Irreverent Grief Guide to the first month after the loss. So that will be up, and then now I'm going back and I'm working on my other book, and my other book is about it's basically everything I needed to learn, I learned from Harry Potter. Like, that's going to be that kind of a book. You remember that one about like everything I ever learned, I learned in kindergarten, or everything I needed to know, I learned from the little golden books. Like that's what this book is, but it's all Harry Potter and its importance and how I use the tools from that I have learned from that in my daily life, and how it has saved my life, literally saved my life. The information I got from those books, and has helped me with my recovery, helps me with my relationships, helps me understand and make sense of the world, helps me understand and make sense of dynamics. And I can't wait to share it with you. Since I have finished my first Irreverent Grief Guide, now it's time for me to move over to my Harry Potter video series. And I would like to read to you my introduction, which I actually did write. So this was before I got the idea of like, why don't you just do videos and then go from there? And then hopefully in the future I can collaborate with a writer, a funny as fuck, irreverent, and fucking Harry Potter obsessed writer who will help me write these books. I'm putting that out into the world. That person is on their way to me right now. So anyway, so here is my introduction to my Harry Potter books. And the working title right now is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stones. And I know I messed up. I am a true Harry Potter person, so I know that it's stone. So sorry, that was a mistake. The verbal equivalent of a typo. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and My Trauma. That's the working title, and it is a shitty title, but it's so weird to me that I don't know the title of the book. I can't figure it out, so we'll see. But that's a good idea of where we're going with this. So here's the introduction. The magic came to me from a surprising place, my child. Thinking about that, that's not so surprising. Of course it came to me from my child. My 8-year-old son loved to read, and one day he asked me to read a book, and I tried. Wizards? No thanks. And I just could not get into it. While tidying up about a week later, I returned the book to my son, book in hand, to my son's room and said, "Here's your book, buddy. I tried to read it, but I'm not like a wizard's person. I can't." And he looked at me and he said, he put the book in my hand, or I put the book down, and then he took the book and put it back in my hands like this. "No, Mommy, I need you to read this book." We all have had those moments with our kids, like all of us. Like, holy shit, do not miss this. This is important. Your child is trying to communicate something to you. Your child is trying to bond with you. And I, thank God, caught it. Like, I got that to my core. Like, my son is trying to tell me something about himself. Like, and I almost missed it. So, it was a big deal. It was a big fucking deal. Like, I was like, and so my response to him, like, "Oh, Mommy's gonna read this book. I'm gonna start reading it right now." So that's how this magic happened to me, and I almost missed it. I almost missed my call to adventure. I actually did refuse the call to adventure. But my son, he put me back on the hero's journey, you know? So, so cool. Okay. Here's your book, buddy. I tried to read it, but I'm not a wizard's person. I can't. I don't remember my son with a more penetrating gaze. He looked at me, pierced my heart, and said while pushing the book back into my hands, "No, Mom, I need you to read this book." Like all mothers do, I felt about 12 feelings in that one moment. I realized that I had missed something. About when my son asked me to read it for the first time. I hadn't heard him. Stunned and wide awake now to what my son was really telling me, this was not about reading a book. It was more than it was more than that. I have never been more excited to read something that I had no interest in. I was going to connect with my son, and nothing would stop me from receiving the message he was sending me through the pages of that book. Very shortly after starting Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I now knew my 3rd grader was trying to tell, I'm gonna cry. I now knew my 3rd grader was trying to tell me that he was a wizard. And also if my son, my adult son, my Air Force son, if he ever sees this, he's gonna be like, "Oh God, Mom." Anyway, I love you, Trent. Okay, I now knew my 3rd grader was trying to tell me that he was a wizard. And he is. Thank God. I already knew that both of my kids were magic in my life and in the world. But now I knew that I had proof that I was a mother of a boy wizard. When I truly got captured by the story within the first chapter, I found out something actually more important than that. I was a fucking witch. Having that book in my hands turned out to be the letter that the Dursleys tried to keep from me. But in my case, the Dursleys were successful. My Hagrid would not come to me at 11 years of age because of all the dark arts that have surrounded me my entire life. At the time of reading the first book, I had been in therapy for about 9 years. I was a compulsive overeater since the age of in utero. Same. At some point in my childhood, I discovered binging. By high school, I was obese. At 19, I met a man who said he would buy my poor ass a dress if I lost 10 pounds. I did the healthy thing of completely starving myself and started running. I was shocked that I actually lost weight. Shocked. I thought I was supposed to be fat. I didn't know my body could actually lose weight like that, since all of my diets since the age of 6 never worked. I lost that 10 pounds and 10 more and 10 more and so on until I lost about 75 pounds. I was thin. Two things happened. One, all of a sudden, I was not invisible to men anymore. I had never in my life turned a head to my knowledge. It was a shock that life is actually different when you are skinny. Just to make sure we're on the same page, in my head, I was never thin. I made a conscious vow. I will never be overweight again. And number 2, there was a viciously intense, growing, unstoppable need to binge, and I could resist no longer. There was only one solution. I became a bulimic. And that's why I was in therapy. I couldn't stop binging and purging constantly. The therapy up to that point focused on the food and conquering addiction. That had positive and healing effects, but not the complete relief I was desperate for. I loved my therapist, and believe me, she tried every trick in the book to help me. But still, I would relapse into binging and purging. I would have never stopped working with her, but we moved to another state in order for my husband to get his MBA, and after a few hits and misses, I met a therapist who seemed to understand what was preventing me from stopping. She had up her sleeve a more magical and healing route. We didn't talk about food. She said it was finally time for me to do my trauma work. Say what? Excuse me? What trauma? I don't have trauma. See this big ass smile on my face? Can I stop binging and purging all day long? Of course not. But what does that have to do with my trauma? I was in denial and clueless, but I was also out of options. So I began working with her on my trauma, and honestly, it almost killed me. It was deep fucking work. And then, once I got Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in my hands, the work got a lot deeper. Like a lot deeper. I'm actually a good writer. I should write this actually, because this is better than what I would have said here. Holy shit, I even forgot I wrote all this. I wrote this a while back. There was something about the language and the symbols and the archetypes in Harry Potter that resonated with me as if it was written for me. As if it were written for me as a prescription. I felt like those voices of the little sweet babies that can't hear. I felt like those little videos of the little sweet babies that can't hear, and when they get their hearing aid and cry, they cry, but they also smile with the look on their face that almost looks like their heart. In their heart, they knew there's mother. Oh God, this is again. Hold on, let me read it again. this is a better edit of that sentence. I felt like I was one of those babies in the videos when the sweet little babies can't hear and then they get their first hearing aid and they cry, but at the same time they smile, and then the look on their face is like their heart knew, the baby's heart, they knew their mother's voice all along, but now it was real. Like they knew their mother's voice all along, but now they could hear it and it was real. Shit, why am I crying? J.K. Rowling created the psyche aid, aka hearing aid, psyche aid, for me. And I felt like I understood the world and a truth that I knew all along in my heart, but I didn't know I knew it until I received it through her magical words. Honestly, J.K. Rowling knew me better than I knew myself, and she was able to explain my truths with her words. The other things her book provided me were the chapters and chapters of coping skills, which is why the two of us are magically together in this moment. I'm a therapist, aka a professor at Hogwarts myself, and I only use my Harry Potter symbolism, characters, spells, etc., sparingly, because it's important that I don't make each session about me. But I'm telling you, not from Tom Riddle's diary, that there is so much knowledge on how to live consciously in the face of hardships and toxic people and situations that I don't want you to miss out on any of the relief or skills. For me, the point of life is to understand that it can be extremely difficult at times. So these are tears of joy, by the way, tears of joy and truth. For me, the point of life is to understand that it can be extremely difficult at times. So we do as much healing as we possibly can, so we can show up to those moments like a hero in the hero's journey of our lives. In other words, let's glean as much as the psychological arts and magic from this book and save our lives and the lives of the people that love us by using them. Yes, we're the ones we've been waiting for, but J.K. Rowling also came looking for us. And I'm coming to you now. If you haven't received it yet, this is your letter to Hogwarts that you didn't get when you were 11. But you have it now. You're a wizard, bitch. Meet you at 9 3/4. I hope you liked it. That's how much it means to me. It's like, are you a Harry Potter fan? That's not quite the right word. Something about that book hit my psyche at the right time. And it really, in addition to completely bonding me and my son for years upon end, it really gave life to my life's experiences. She knows I'm crying. I hope you enjoyed that, and let me know if you're interested in reading my book or if that resonated with you at all, or if that was similar to your experience, or any of it. I'd love to hear it all. I could talk about Harry Potter and psychology endlessly every single moment for the rest of my life. And I plan to. Anyway, I hope you like that, and just know, I think you know everything that you need to know. Love you. Bye.